from the heart of Dubai, where tomorrow is being built today, to the world. Welcome to the CTO Show with Mehmet. Here, we redefine technology and reimagine possibilities. With Mehmet, delve into the riveting realms of AI, cybersecurity, and digital technology. Experience the thrilling highs and lows of startups. Immerse yourself in the spirit of entrepreneurship and witness the future of business innovation being written in real time. Now, without further ado, let's tune in and explore the future.
Hello and welcome back to a new episode of the CTO Show with Mehmet. Today, I'm very pleased to have joining me from Canada, Uzair. Uzair, thank you very much for being here with me on the show today. The way I love to do it is I like my guests to introduce themselves. So please feel free, introduce yourself, tell us what you do. The floor is yours.
Okay, thanks for having me. So I've been an entrepreneur for the last 8 years. I started my first business back when I was back in 2016. We grew that to 23 different cities and multiple seven figures in revenue. And that business was a mobile mechanic business. So we were trying to build the Uber of mechanics here in Canada, and we did that through. And when we were talking to people about this idea when we first started out, they told us it couldn't be done. But we thought that by automating everything and building our own technology, that everything could be done so easily that the business was scalable. And through the process of doing that, we got to the goal that we wanted to. And through the process of building automations and learning about technology and how to use that with business sense and just make everything a very easy to build, easy to run a scalable business, I learned that there's a lot of people out there that had these problems as well, but they didn't figure it out. So a few of my friends asked me earlier this year for help with their businesses, and I took that and I was like, wow, this is like a real business now. People need help with automating their business and even using offshore labor. So that's kind of how I got started, by now just helping people with their businesses.
That's great and inspiring story indeed. Now, I'm interested to know, or if you can explain to me a little bit, Uzair, how these automation systems help businesses, and especially I know like you focus on home service businesses as well.
Yeah.
So if you can a little bit explain how you streamline their operations, is it like about cost reduction? Like feel free to explain that for us in details if you want.
Okay, yeah. So when it comes to automation, the most important thing is so when I work with my clients right now, everybody wants automation, but I always have to start with the current system. Like, how do they
Right.
currently do things right now? And that's where there's a lot of flawed ways of doing things, right? So a lot of people I find either focus too much on getting new leads, or they spend so much time with their existing customers, they have no time for getting new leads, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
they get leads, but they don't follow up on leads properly, and
Mm-hmm.
or they don't deal with their existing customers properly, right? So it just depends on what their problems are. But like just off the head, some examples of automation would be, when a lead comes in online, you automatically call them. Or
Mm-hmm.
and if they don't pick up, you automatically call them again, and you send them a text message, and then if the lead comes in, you get a quote sent to them. You can also do automatic follow-ups. So you do
Right.
everything you can to make sure that lead gets taken care of, right? That's just one example. So at the end of the day, we use automation to make less mistakes, increase efficiency of our existing workers to do less admin work, and honestly, increase revenue because you make less mistakes, you increase revenue just through that, right?
Right. That's correct. Now you mentioned something about offload neighbors or outsourcing. So what usually are some common misconceptions about outsourcing and automation in the industry that you service or you offer your
Well,
service to?
that's a good question. So with automation, I think that even with outsourcing, I think that people, they see overseas labor as less skilled than local labor, which is completely flawed in every sense of the word, right? Or they've had
Mm-hmm.
practicing overseas labor in the past, but they completely failed at it. And it almost comes down to their systems that they use, right? It's like, how do you do things internally? If your company is a mess, then yeah, using overseas labor will not help. It's just going to make it worse. But if your company is very systemized and does things in a very organized way, then using overseas labor is like leverage. So you can
Mm-hmm.
much for it, right?
Right.
It's like pouring gasoline on the fire, but you have to have your systems in place before you can do that. And when it comes to automation, I think that the biggest thing is people think their business is automated because they have a CRM.
Yeah.
They don't know the extent of the technology out there and how far they can automate certain tasks in their business. So they think that they're automated because they have a CRM or they use Excel or they use like these basic tools that everybody has, but that's all they know, right? So it's not really their fault as much as just a limitation of what they know.
That's true. Now, one of the misconceptions that I personally, face sometimes when I talk to people about any kind of automation, like whether it's related to services or related to enhancing a process, there is this misconception about uh, the human role, and they say, okay, like if we do this, how we can stay customer centric if everything is done by a machine or whatever. So what you can tell people about this, because it's not only about completely removing the human factor, right?
Yeah. No, I tend to agree with them. So when I look at automation, I think the worst thing you can automate is customer facing stuff. Like when I call a bank or whatever, right? And they have this robot there that's like, tell me your problem. And then and they barely understand your problem. This like I want to talk to a human as fast as I can because when I'm calling a company, I'm either upset or
Right.
I need some help, right? Talking to a robot is the worst thing ever. But when it comes to, you know, doing back-end tasks like email follow-ups or transferring information from one system to another, or just like admin work like that, right? Then you want to use automation because humans don't like doing repetitive admin work. We should use humans to talk to people, but we should not automate that part. We should not try to make our customer service like this beacon of automation. Look, we got this AI that answers questions for you. I think that's a horrible way to do it.
Yeah, you need to keep the balance. So I would say, right, to there, and I heard a lot of stories because to your point, you mentioned bank, and actually, some banks and some telcos, they fall into trap, which they call it digital transformation at that time. And they thought, yeah, we will put the technology, and yeah, see, we have robots, AI, all these things,
Yeah.
but people were frustrated. Now, but coming back to the AI, so what in this case the role you think AI can play in business automation? Um, any examples you can think of? Any way that it can enhance efficiency? What you can tell us?
Well, one simple example of using AI is, we have meetings, those things
Yeah.
that transcribe meetings, take those actionable items and then put them in your Asana or Notion or whatever task management tool you're using. So everyone
Hmm.
gets that's a very simple use of AI that I like a lot. Other uses of AI is like automatic replying to reviews that are between like 4 or 5 stars on your service company because they have pretty standard replies, right? But making sure that if it's below 4 stars, you do not automatically reply back to them. So you gotta find that balance. And, but yeah, that's generally the idea. I don't like using AI too much in the sense that it's supposed to do like mundane tasks for me, right? But I don't like
Hmm.
you for unless there's a reason to use it, I don't like just using AI for things. There has to be a reason for it. There has to be a business case for it. I like using technology to solve business problems, but it doesn't necessarily have to be AI.
That's controversial, I would say. So even like for writing, let's say, marketing campaigns and generating, these, let's say, email templates, do you think also it should not be used
I
this way?
hate that. I hate it.
Really,
I hate it so
really.
like, the whole point of marketing is to stand out in a crowded marketplace that people are like, "Why should I care about you?" So instead of standing out with your own unique voice and your own unique thoughts, you're gonna go out there and use this like AI uses the same it's just based on what everyone's written in the past. So the idea
Correct.
of standing out in marketing is completely lost when you're just going to send the same stuff that people have used in the past, you know? Like if it's such a horrible idea, I think. I think it's great for brainstorming,
Yes.
but people that just write pull out campaigns using AI. It's just like, come on, it's not good. And you can tell too. Anybody can tell.
Yeah, correct. But can I play the devil advocate for a one moment
Go
here
ahead.
or
Tell
there?
me. What's up?
Yeah, and it's not for challenging you, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah.
You know, I am very active, for example, on LinkedIn, and people knows what I do. I have the podcast, the consultancy, and even before this AI, before the Chat GPT became
Yeah.
mainstream, still I receive these, you know, it sounds very robotic sometimes, because we teach people that, hey, this is the cadence that you need to follow. And if you follow this cadence, your chance of increasing someone to reply to you is high. I can understand this. I worked in sales. I can understand,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
flow. But the problem is, I think it's not the AI. I think the problem is humans who become very lazy in just, acquiring a framework and trying to apply it. Do you agree with me on this?
Yep. And people become inherently lazy. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. So, so again, to your point, and you are very right in one thing, and we discussed this on the show many times. So, AI is not inventing or reinventing the wheel, right? So it's
Yeah.
generating text based on text that we humans we wrote in the past, and it's just
Yeah.
trying to reshape it somehow. So
Exactly.
yeah,
So
but
that's
it's a
what I'm
valid point.
like. The idea is like, as a salesperson or as a marketer, right? You are competing against way more interesting things constantly, right? And
Correct.
people, when they see like, and then everyone has their own internal filter, right? So when they see something that fits into a certain bucket, it just goes, it's just disappeared, right? They completely ignore you. So when you're a salesperson and your emails are written the same way as everybody else's emails, you are now a salesperson gone. I don't care what you have to sell. Like you're just automatically ignore, right? Same thing with
Yeah.
marketing. So you have to figure out ways to stand out. So like when I write my sales emails, I keep them very short and I purposely put spelling mistakes on them and I make them
Mm.
very casual so I don't come across as a salesperson, right? Who comes across like that? But when you talk to like a CEO or a business, they'll write very quick messages, like they're texting you, right? Because they're now running into that frame, right? So why not adopt that frame for sales? Why do you have to adopt the pandering salesperson frame? You don't, right? So that's what I mean with when you use AI to write emails or write um, marketing stuff, you adopt the frame of the marketer, which is easy to ignore for most people because they know what you're up to, right? But if you do things differently in your own unique voice, I think it'll work out way better.
100%. And this is, I would say, at least from my perspective, it's something that works.
Yeah,
Um, I always was the rebel who refused to use pre-written templates.
you should never.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Unless you're working for like a big organization and they want you to systemize everything. But you and I are trying to build stuff out, right? We're not, we
no,
can't.
but even those there, like even if it's like big company, as you said, you nailed it. Actually, you need to put your own voice in it, right?
Yeah, you have to do that, right? So that's a big thing that I'm about. So like, you're right. So going back to our thing about using AI. The question is, I don't use a lot of AI in my automations. The answer was I don't use a lot of AI in my automations because I
Hmm.
like to solve business problems. And if AI is not the right tool for it, which it hasn't been for a lot of the problems I'm trying to solve, then I won't use it. But if there's something where AI does come into play, I would use it. But I personally use AI in my workflow every day.
Yeah, actually, this is it will relate to the next question, but this is because you mentioned this. I can see you there. I can spot on you a right entrepreneurial mindset because you don't just use the technology for the sake of using the technology. You try to solve business problem, and this is what lead me to the next question, actually, and which is because you talked about having your business that that you Instamac. So I am interested in know what was the pain that you have seen, and you said, you know what, I need to solve this, and I need to go and build a solution for this, so I can provide my customers value. I'm interested in this original story of this.
So for the story of Instamac, how I started it,
Yeah.
So the real story is so I worked as an engineer for a few years, and then I went to a trip to Dubai, my first time
Okay.
there in 2014. And then while I was gone, I was with my dad, and while my mom was at home, she had the cars, and the cars both started having problems. So she was stuck
Mm-hmm.
at home, and she had no idea what to do. And she went to the shops and took care of all that, but like the whole process was really bad, right? So I was thinking of the idea. I'm like, what if there was a way faster and easier way of doing this? And I'm like, okay, cool. Like there's an Uber that's going out right now. So how about we use the two, merge the two technologies, like using something that's super easy to use with mechanics that come to your house. And that was the idea, and that's how I was born. And I was like, this is we tried it out. We posted some ads on our local classifieds ads thing, and we got customers calling, and then we started calling other mechanics on the same thing, and just connected the two. And I was like, okay, this is a business. This could be a business. And then we, raised a bunch of money, built our technology, and then yeah, expanded from there.
Great, awesome. I love when I hear these stories, and the reason I ask these questions is to inspire other to be entrepreneurs or to be founders about how you start solving your own problem sometimes, or maybe your friend problem. So,
Yeah.
great one. Um, Now, with your current, venture, I would say,
Yeah.
I know that you have launched Cottonwood Global, and if you can, like, just tell me how does this contribute to the whole vision that you have about Cottonwood automation?
So, the business is Cottonwood, okay? And what the idea behind it was, okay, so we have my Instamate business, right? Which is a
Mm-hmm.
mobile mechanic business that leverages technology and offshore labor to operate and run. Where the business I spend no time on whatsoever, and it continues to make me money, right? And I was like, "Kata, how do I do my next thing, which is not so different than this?" So that's where Cottonwood Global and Cottonwood Automation come into play. The exact same technologies and the processes I use to automate my current business, now I do for other businesses. And the same thing with our internal Instamake is also being run by a completely remote team based out of Colombia. So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
"Okay, well, now we can do Cottonwood Global and help other businesses with the same system itself. Like, here's a system that Instamat uses, and now we can apply the same system to other home service companies, and they can do things exactly the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then in the future, if I can start buying companies and then using the same systems I did for Instamat for all the other companies, I think it could be a pretty nice way to live.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Great. I love to hear these stories. Now, while preparing for the episode, I've seen like you are into the blockchain and cryptocurrencies.
Yeah.
So, and and I see like, okay, what's the relation between cryptocurrency and home service industry automation? So, what you can tell me about that?
Oh no, I just like gambling, so that's different.
Okay. So, but is there any role that these technologies can play in that space?
I think the only thing that it could kind of work was like if you had like an NFT where it was like a lifetime. If you paid $500 for NFT and you got like lifetime discounts on something, and you could resell that NFT, so it could be a marketing thing. But I think we're too soon for that. I think that the last year in crypto has really put a damper on the industry in the public's eye. When you have like everyone become a humongous scammer,
Yeah.
it doesn't really help the public perception of it, right? So it's tough to do anything technology wise in the real world with it. But I still think the technology itself is pretty cool. Like
Unfortunately, yeah.
yeah,
Please go ahead to there.
like the idea that you can send any amount of money to anyone in the world without a third party. I think that's a very cool technology to have.
100%. And I think so far we had three guests, and we discussed actually blockchain cryptocurrencies in details. And as you mentioned, unfortunately, because couple maybe few scammers, but their stories went very public and very big. So people have the misconception about when
Yeah,
they hear even not cryptocurrency, even the word blockchain. Oh, no, 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 this is a
yeah,
scam. And no, no, it's not a scam. But again, unfortunately, there are a lot of scammers out there. But you
yeah.
know, other than NFTs and cryptocurrencies, any other emerging technology that you are keeping eye on that can be potential game changer in the domain that you are in?
Not the domain that I'm in, but I think Neuralink. If Neuralink takes off and we all become cyborgs, I think that's pretty
Mm.
cool. Like imagine
Mm.
having access, be half human, half robot.
Does it scare you?
It scares me and excites me. Like wow, because it's all about productivity. Imagine you become way more effective human beings, right? And
Yeah,
then
imagine you're linked to a large language model, for example.
yeah, well, I'm just saying, like, you'd be so much smarter, right? Like, the reason why I love AI is, when I was in school, I used to, always go to office hours and ask for help from teachers, right? To be like, "Explain this to me a different way. No, 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 now try it this way." Just so I could really understand concepts. But now I just use AI as my tutor, and it's been so good. So I love learning, and it's learning at such a rapid rate now.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is. But this is something, and thank you, Zaid, for mentioning this. I need to put some efforts to understand more about this technology, Neuralink, and how
Yeah.
it can affect our lives. So thank you for bringing this topic because I can understand it on a high level, but pretty much I want to see. And I know that the FDA they gave the approval for the trials finally, so
Mhm.
they're gonna start soon to implement.
Yeah, they're
You
looking
know,
for, quadriplegics right now that are interested
y-
in learning.
yes. So let's see how that goes. It's a little bit scary. I hope we will
Yeah.
not end up with a Frankenstein or something like this. But
Something could
anyway,
happen, right? We don't know what could happen, but I think the idea of what they're doing is pretty cool.
yeah, maybe not related to Neuralink, but because you mentioned this, what do you think about the digital twin?
What's the digital twin? Oh, digital tw okay, okay. I think it's kind of, let me understand this. So it's like uploading your all your knowledge and everything to like an online version of yourself, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know, it seems like a privacy nightmare.
We are in a privacy nightmare already, Ozair, I believe. No,
I
don't you
get
think
that,
so?
but like, why would you make it even worse? Like by having a digital twin that can call your loved ones, be like, "Hey, yo, I'm stuck here. Send me money."
Oh, yeah, but with the AI now, the deep fake that they can do, it's scary
A lot of
even.
that, yeah. So what you
Yeah,
have
so
to
some
do, you have to have a code word with your loved ones. Be like, "This is the code word."
exactly. The other day, someone called me and said, "Hey, like you talk about AI, cybersecurity, you discuss all these topics, but yourself, you do podcasts, and people can now clone your voice." I said, "Yeah, guys, I'm aware of that. Like, I'm not, but yeah, but of course, like I need to take my measures. I would say, but yeah, nevertheless, it's very good." Good point. Now, one thing I'm curious by nature, Jose, and excuse me if I'm asking you, these questions like this
No,
way,
go
but
ahead. It's the point.
you've raised seven figure funding for your ventures.
Yeah.
Uh, what because I get asked this question a lot by fellow startup founders. So, any tips on how to successfully pitch to investors?
Well, I would say the easiest time to pitch at the very start because you pitching on a story is way better than pitching on numbers.
Mm.
It's way harder to pitch on revenue and numbers than it is to pitch on a story. Maybe things have changed now because interest rates are so much higher, right? So back in my day, but it also just works at a human nature level, right? Because when you pitch with stories, anything is possible. You charge them up emotionally, right? But when you pitch on numbers, it's never enough.
Hmm.
It's like it's never enough. And you gotta so that's why it's really important to pitch like the key to investing is to have a really good narrative and a really good story. It is
Yes.
not if unless you're doing like debt financing or private equity and stuff like that, then you gotta know who you're playing with too, right? So it depends on who the investor is as well. If they care about numbers, then you gotta show them good numbers and you gotta define if those numbers are even worth it or not. And your valuation won't be as high. But when you play on stories, it can be a lot better. But having said that though, um, the market has changed now, so I haven't raised money for, like, a while now, so it's probably different now. I can imagine it being a lot tougher now.
Yeah, everyone is saying the market is dry now, and there are
Yeah.
there's not a lot of funds.
Liquidity is
everywhere.
yeah, so it's tougher now. So it's really important to build a business that's going to make you money. And then I honestly think that unless your business is like some experiment where it's like you have to figure out this is the thing that people want, it's better to just try to raise debt financing and go from there.
And what about trying to bootstrap there instead
I
of
think it's
raising
I think
funds?
it's a good idea to bootstrap. If your
Yeah,
business is like obviously like raising money will help do it faster, but if your business is a business that's already been done before, or a business that's been done before with a slight twist, I would bootstrap or raise debt financing. But if you're doing like something completely different and you have no idea if it's gonna work or not, then you would raise equity financing. Because equity financing is the most expensive kind of financing, right?
yeah, that's correct. Now, one thing I figured out there, like, which is, I'm asking this question to give your advice to fellow entrepreneurs as well. I can see very obviously, like, you have the technical background, you have the sales skills, and they have the marketing skills. How important for founders, and especially first-time founders, to learn these skills?
I think that's the only thing that matters. At the end of the day, if you don't have the sales and marketing, you don't get the money in the door. Right? You get nothing else really matters except getting the money in the door. And this is for starting out, okay? So this is how the transitions happen, okay? So when you're a brand new entrepreneur, sales is all that really matters. You don't even have to have
Right.
the technology behind it. But if you can sell something you don't even have, you're on the right way. Then you have to focus on delivering on it. That's when operational chops come into play, but you can find someone to partner up with you on that. Or even technology, right? But the if you can do sales, marketing, and technology, you can just get started way faster.
Yeah, that's
But
correct.
the thing is, you should not sit around and wait till you get those skills by reading and researching. You should just go out there and do it. And sales is the one thing that you should focus on at the start.
Yeah, this is something we repeated. And again, the
Yeah.
reason I repeat stuff on the show, because the more you repeat, the more it gets
And
stuck
you
in
get
people's head.
yeah.
Because even see, like for me, I came from a pure technical background. Like I was kind of a geeky guy who sits,
Yeah.
late in the night behind the laptop or the
Yeah.
whatever computer, trying to do stuff. And all of it sudden, at some stage in my career, I said, you know what? I should learn how to talk to people, pitch, you know, the idea that I have. Because
Yeah.
and being, unfortunately in culture, maybe this is something that happened over the years. And when you say like you are a sales guy, people think something bad, like the
It's so true. Like in Eastern cultures, right? Like business is looked down upon. Like if you can't do anything else, you do business, you do sales. But it's like the highest paying job in the world, but also the hardest job in the world. And you know what it is? I think it's because people, when they think of you doing sales, think of really bad salespeople. And like I
right,
said before, they have this idea of sales, right? And those are the guys that use those templated emails and just like they're really annoying. But then there's salespeople that are so good that you feel like I need to buy from this guy just because like like this is status selling, right? And some people just sell so well with status where this prospect is like, I have to buy from that guy. A perfect example is your doctor.
right,
When you go to a doctor, he's not selling you stuff. He's like, here's a prescription, here's your problem, here's how you solve it. And he can be nice to you, but he's still higher status, right? But that's an idea of a salesperson that's the same mentality you can adopt because you know the answers.
right, 100%. And it's thought provoking, by the way, what you just mentioned, Ozair. Like, and this is something founders, they should listen carefully to this, about that, and don't be, as you said, don't be the silly guy. Be the smart guy when you reach out people. That's
Because, like,
100%
the
correct.
best people like, look at President Obama or Donald Trump, the best salespeople out there,
Right,
right?
right.
But they're not selling you knives, they're selling themselves as the president of the most powerful country in the world, right? So that's kinda like the way to think about sales. It's like the most sales is one of the most useful skills out there. If you get really good at it, the world is your oyster. And it's about so much more than just, like, templates and scripts and all that.
Yeah, yeah, agreed, 100%. Uzair, as we are coming to an end, is there anything that I should have asked you and I didn't? And feel free to answer it.
Oh no, no. I think you asked a lot of good questions there.
Okay,
But
and but it's not a
who,
tricky question. Yeah,
who's
please.
the go ahead. Who's the target? Who's the demographic that's your podcast? What would they care about
Honestly, they are a mix of entrepreneurs and people interested in tech in general.
in general? Okay, so it's called a CTO show, right?
Yeah, but by the way, it's good that you asked me this question. Is there the reason I call it CTO? Because I believe, to your point, that a CTO is not just a geeky guy sitting behind, his
Mm,
machine trying to do things. A CTO, and even in the definition of a CTO in a company, he is the bridge between business and tech, right?
yeah,
And
solve
he
it.
should he should be able to understand technology, understand the trends,
Yeah,
understand, have an entrepreneurial mindset, and even understand sales and marketing. And this is why I decided to call it CTO Show. And I wanted to bring people from different backgrounds. And by the way, I don't have only CTOs on the show. Of course, I have CTOs, I have marketing experts, I have sales experts, I have people who talks, for example, even about personal development sometimes. Because I
yeah.
believe it's like a puzzle, and you need all these parts of the puzzle to make the whole things. And thank you for asking Odair about that.
Well, that's a very
Where,
good way to look
yeah,
at it.
please,
Sorry,
please,
that
go
that's
ahead.
a very good way to look at it.
Great. Where people can find more about you and your business.
So my website, cottonwoodautomation.com, or you can find me on Twitter. Uh, my first name, Truballa. And then you can just message me directly on cottonwoodautomation.com, connect with me, and then I can have a call. But yeah, so the idea is if you're running a home service company or any type of business and you want it to be in a way where it grows without you working on it every single day, that's where I can help.
Great, great. I will make sure that also I will put all these links you just mentioned in the show notes there.
Okay.
And really, I appreciate the time. I enjoyed the conversation with you. A
Like,
lot of great hints, I would say. So, guys, follow Uzair. He has a lot of great experience in multiple fields. I would say you are multi-faced from marketing, sales, and even building businesses. So thank you, Uzair, for being with me today. And
thanks
as
for
usually, this is how I end the show. Guys, keep the feedbacks coming. I really enjoy reading them. They don't have to be always compliments. You can also tell me what you don't like on the show. I would love to always enhance my own process, And if you are interested also to be guest on the show, don't hesitate. Reach out to me and we can figure out a way. See, like Uzair is in Canada, I'm in Dubai, and even with the time difference, we managed to find a time and sit down together. And thank you very much for tuning in. We'll meet again in the next episode. Thank you. Bye bye.
Hit that subscribe button, share the show with your tech-savvy friends and fellow entrepreneurs, and leave us a review on your favorite podcast app. Your support means the world to us.